Decision-making under pressure, a leader's toolkit. Effective decision-making under pressure is a hallmark of strong leadership. This course is built for leaders and teams who must act strategically, rapidly, and decisively in high-stakes environments. The goal is to provide a toolkit informed by both modern science and practical leadership experience. You'll explore the biological and cognitive effects of stress on decision quality and how to mitigate them. You'll learn structured frameworks that allow for faster, clearer thinking, even when the stakes are high. These include mental models like the OODA Loop, the 80-20 rule, and pre-decision planning with principles and playbooks. In addition, we'll explore how to train teams to remain aligned, resilient, and focused under pressure. Whether you're responding to uncertainty, managing crises, or leading through ambiguity, this toolkit is designed to help you stay composed and make high-leverage decisions when it matters most.
Course overview and objectives. High-pressure environments radically affect how we process information and make decisions. The course begins by exploring the underlying biology and psychology of stress. Cortisol spikes, for instance, narrow focus and impair executive function, reducing access to your full mental faculties. The fight-or-flight response kicks in, overriding rational thinking with instinctive reactions. Under these conditions, common cognitive biases like confirmation bias and loss aversion become amplified, leading to distorted judgments. Additionally, fear of failure or overanalysis can trigger decision paralysis, a state in which action is delayed or avoided, often with negative consequences. To lead effectively under pressure, it's essential to understand and anticipate these mental pitfalls. Leaders must compensate by using structured thinking models, predefined decision strategies, and preparation techniques. This course will help you build those exact capabilities, increasing your effectiveness and resilience when it counts most. Why pressure distorts decisions. Pressure distorts decision-making by compromising the very mental faculties leaders rely on most. The stress hormone cortisol floods the brain, narrowing your focus to immediate threats and impairing the executive function responsible for planning, reasoning, and weighing options. As a result, decision-making becomes reactive rather than strategic. The fight-or-flight response, while evolutionarily useful, can override logical reasoning. Instead of evaluating options calmly, we become impulsive, often acting on instinct rather than information. Cognitive biases also worsen under stress. Confirmation bias causes us to seek out data that aligns with our assumptions. Loss aversion becomes exaggerated. We fear negative outcomes more intensely, and thus avoid taking necessary risks. Lastly, pressure can paralyze. Fear of making the wrong move, especially in high-stakes scenarios, causes some leaders to freeze, waiting too long to act. Recognizing these distortions is the first step to managing them and reclaiming decision clarity under fire. The high-pressure decision framework. Navigating complex decisions under pressure requires more than grit. It demands structure. The high-pressure decision framework introduces 5 essential principles to guide leaders through uncertainty. First, prioritize clarity over certainty. Leaders must learn to act when the picture is incomplete. Second, use the OODA Loop, observe, orient, decide, act, a repeatable cycle for fast decision-making. Third, apply the 80-20 rule to focus on the actions that generate the most impact. Fourth, build a decision ladder to structure choices based on urgency, importance, and who should make them. And fifth, pre-decide using playbooks and core principles, which provide pre-planned responses to predictable pressure scenarios. These 5 dimensions offer a comprehensive system to navigate stress, filter noise, and act with confidence when time is short and the stakes are high. 1. Prioritize clarity over certainty. In high-stakes environments, waiting for perfect clarity is often a trap. Effective leaders learn to act with partial information, typically at about 70% certainty. That threshold balances thoughtful risk with timely execution. To support this, leaders ask critical questions such as, what do I know for sure right now? What more do I need to move forward? And what is the cost of delay compared to the risk of action? These questions shift focus from paralysis to forward momentum. Clarity doesn't mean knowing everything. It means knowing what matters most. Simplifying complex problems into their core elements, key drivers, expected outcomes, and decision points helps strip away noise. Great leaders acknowledge ambiguity, but don't let it stop them. They separate what they know from what they wish they knew, and they act decisively in the gap. 2. The OODA Loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. The OODA Loop is a continuous, agile process that helps leaders cycle through uncertainty with clarity. First, observe. Gather facts and signals rapidly, without judgment. In crisis, situational awareness is foundational. Second, orient. Interpret what you see through your experience and the broader context. This phase helps connect raw data to meaning. Third, decide. Make a high-leverage, time-bound choice based on your understanding. Avoid analysis paralysis. Decisions must be timely, not perfect. Fourth, act. Execute decisively, knowing you'll re-enter the loop immediately as new information emerges. The power of the OODA Loop is speed. Leaders who loop faster than the problem evolves gain a strategic edge, even if their information is incomplete. It's a cycle of awareness, understanding, commitment, and rapid iteration, ideal for fast-moving environments. 3. Apply the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule, or Pareto principle, states that 20% of your efforts typically drive 80% of your results. Under pressure, this principle becomes a strategic advantage. Start by identifying the most high-impact issues. Not all decisions require equal attention. Prioritization is critical. Ask yourself, what is the one lever that, if pulled, changes everything else? Focus on those pivotal decisions that generate a cascade of benefits. High-performance leaders avoid wasting energy on low-value tasks. Instead, they create momentum by solving the core 20% of issues that shape outcomes. Perfect execution isn't the goal. Momentum is. Especially in high-pressure scenarios, the pursuit of perfection can become a dangerous distraction. Distinguishing between what matters most and what can be deferred or delegated is a hallmark of sound leadership. 4. Build a decision ladder. Decision ladders help leaders structure choices by impact, urgency, and authority level. Start with Tier 1, strategic decisions. These are urgent, high stakes, and require executive oversight. They often involve irreversible consequences and long-term implications. Tier 2, operational decisions are still important, but generally reversible. These can be delegated to middle managers who operate within established strategic boundaries. Tier 3, tactical decisions are best made at the front line, where action is closest to the problem. These are routine decisions that benefit from speed and context. Under pressure, decentralization is key, but it only works when everyone is aligned on mission and values. By building this structure, leaders empower quicker responses while maintaining coherence. The decision ladder becomes a practical filter to determine who decides what, when, and how. 5. Pre-decide with playbooks and principles. The best crisis leadership begins long before the crisis. By pre-deciding, leaders create speed and clarity when chaos erupts. First, build scenario-based playbooks, detailed guides for predictable disruptions like system outages or market volatility. These predefined actions eliminate guesswork under stress. Second, develop decision trees, if-then maps that guide teams through branching possibilities. These reduce cognitive load and accelerate action. Third, establish guiding principles, values such as protect the customer or safety first. In ambiguous moments, these values become your compass. Pre-decision isn't about predicting every crisis, but about preparing mental and organizational muscle memory. The result is faster, more consistent decisions aligned with both strategy and ethics. Tactical tools for pressure decisions. In high-stress environments, leaders need more than frameworks. They need tactical tools to execute under fire. This toolbox includes decision journaling, red teaming, the 2-minute rule, and reframing failure. Each tool improves clarity, confidence, and adaptability. Decision journaling captures your reasoning and outcomes, creating a feedback loop that sharpens intuition. Red teaming introduces structured dissent. Trusted colleagues pressure test your thinking to reveal blind spots. The 2-minute rule cuts through overthinking. If I had to decide right now, what would I do? It surfaces core instincts and accelerates momentum. Finally, reframing failure transforms mistakes into learning. Leaders treat decisions as experiments, not judgments. These tools build psychological safety and create habits of resilient, high-quality decision-making. Decision journaling. Decision journaling is a metacognitive tool, a practice for capturing your thought process and learning from it over time. After making a significant decision, record the key elements. What data was available? What assumptions did you make? What outcomes did you expect? Then ask yourself, what emotions influenced my judgment? What did I overlook? This isn't just a record, it's a mirror. Reviewing your journal weeks or months later helps you compare actual outcomes to your expectations. Over time, this reflection sharpens your decision instincts and reveals patterns, both good and bad. It also builds discipline and accountability, creating a personal feedback loop that improves decision quality under pressure. Red teaming. Red teaming is a structured process in which trusted colleagues challenge your thinking before decisions are finalized. The goal isn't conflict, it's constructive dissent. Red teams ask tough questions. What are we missing? What could go wrong? What are other possible interpretations? By actively surfacing blind spots, red teaming strengthens your decisions before they're implemented. It tests assumptions, validates reasoning, and fosters diverse perspectives. Perhaps most importantly, it builds psychological safety, making dissent normal rather than threatening. When team members feel safe questioning the consensus, the entire organization becomes smarter and more resilient. Red teaming is especially powerful under pressure, when speed and stakes often suppress critical reflection. The 2-minute rule. When complexity overwhelms or deadlines loom, the 2-minute rule breaks through indecision. The rule is simple. Ask, if I had to decide in the next 2 minutes, what would I do? This thought experiment forces clarity. It cuts through the noise, revealing your core instincts and highest priority insights. Often your subconscious has already processed key data. You just haven't articulated it yet. The rule also accelerates decision velocity. It prevents excessive deliberation and reminds us that perfect information rarely exists. In high-pressure environments, momentum is more valuable than certainty. Acting fast doesn't mean acting recklessly. It means trusting your preparation and judgment enough to move forward. Reframe failure as learning. High-performance leaders move beyond the binary of success versus failure. They treat every decision as an experiment that generates feedback. Instead of asking, who's to blame? They ask, what did we learn, and how do we adapt? This shift fosters psychological safety, the permission to take calculated risks without fear of shame. Documenting the insights from both good and bad outcomes builds institutional wisdom. When teams feel safe discussing failure, they improve faster. Learning loops, cycles of action, feedback, and adjustment become embedded in the culture. Ultimately, resilience isn't just bouncing back. It's coming back smarter, better prepared, and more agile. Leading others through pressure. In moments of pressure, leadership is more than decision-making. It's emotional regulation for the team. Your behavior sets the emotional tone. Clarity matters, even if the message is incomplete. Saying, we don't know yet, but here's what we're doing, builds trust. Confidence matters too. Not false certainty, but calm presence. Fear must be acknowledged, but reframed toward shared mission and actionable steps. Big problems should be broken into smaller actions that create traction. Leadership under pressure becomes a model. How you respond, teaches your team how to respond next time. Your voice, posture, and choices form the template for their courage. Conclusion: mastering the moment. True leadership reveals itself not in moments of comfort, but under stress and uncertainty. Mastery in decision-making under pressure begins with recognizing how stress distorts thinking. Leaders must use structured frameworks like the OODA Loop, 80-20 rule, and decision ladders to reduce chaos. The most resilient decisions are often made before the crisis, through preparation, playbooks, and mental simulations. Excellence under pressure is not just about courage, it's about systems that support clarity and speed. When the stakes are high, the prepared leader is not guessing. They're activating a trained, tested toolkit. And that makes all the difference. Reflection questions. Now it's time to internalize and apply the tools. Start by reflecting on your natural decision-making style under stress. Are you more analytical, intuitive, or avoidant? Recognizing your default approach helps you balance your strengths and gaps. Next, ask how you can prepare in advance for recurring high-pressure decisions. Could you build a playbook? Define principles? Run simulations? Finally, consider what systems you can build to decentralize and accelerate good decisions in your team. Can you empower frontline judgment? Can you clarify decision rights? Reflection turns insight into action and prepares you to lead with agility when it matters most.